Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday night. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for joining me here at my channel. If you haven't already, please give the video here a thumbs up. That really helps it in the YouTube universe. Also, I would love to have you as a subscriber. So please subscribe and hit the bell so you always get those notifications when I go live. I was going to talk about some other things tonight, but now I am going to talk about the Palisades fire arrest. It's really interesting. And I think that you guys will find the information interesting too. This guy is in big, big trouble. Also, if you're watching on replay, I forgot to mention, thank you for watching on replay. And also, please put where you're watching from, city, state, country, in the chat. I always love seeing that. So that's awesome. And drop a line just to say hello. And thank you to the mods, Monana, Webby, and Melmac for all being here today. And Monty, if I missed you, Monty, I'm sorry. I probably could use some coffee about now. But this is the man who is in custody. He's actually in Florida, but he is charged with setting the fires at the Pacific Palisades. He's actually accused of setting a fire that then spread into a bigger fire. So it's a pretty crazy story from what I've been reading in the criminal complaint that was unsealed today. This is Jonathan Rinderknecht. I'm going to put his name on the screen. Jonathan Rinderknecht. And I almost wondered if it was Rinderknecht, but the U.S. attorney is saying Rinderknecht. He apparently grew up in France or lived in France for a time. He's fluent in French, which will become important in the investigation later on. I'll tell you about that here in just a little bit. But this is the guy that the U.S. attorney in the Central District of California says set the fire. And then they're saying this guy is the cause. There have been a number of things floating around out there that, was it down power lines? I saw somebody saying that in the chat. I also saw somebody else saying that it might have been fireworks. They reference a media report saying that fireworks caused the fire. They're saying, no, that's not true. And they're relying on the fact that this guy, Jonathan Rinderknecht, was in the area at the time that the fire was set. He called 911. He tried to place several 911 calls. Some of the calls would not connect, but one did. And he was apparently driving an Uber in Los Angeles at the time. He's in jail in Florida, lives in Florida. But at the time that this fire was set back in the early morning hours of New Year's Day, he apparently was driving an Uber, according to the federal officials. And they've got all this other evidence that we're going to go through. So he appeared in court in Florida today, in federal court, and he'll again appear in federal court, I believe, tomorrow for another hearing about his detention. This was a huge fire. For those of you who may not have followed it, it was hard to miss it, though. 6,800 homes were damaged. I was listening to the press conference a little bit ago. 12 people died in this fire. And then there were, along with 6,800 homes being damaged or destroyed, other buildings were damaged and destroyed too. So you had people who died because of this fire. So they're saying, this is the guy. He caused it. They literally say that in the criminal complaint, charging him with maliciously setting the fire. So I thought we could start by listening to a little bit of the press conference from the U.S. attorney. He's actually the acting U.S. attorney for that district. And he talks about what they found in the complaint that was unsealed earlier today. And they actually interviewed this guy back during the investigation, which I find to be really interesting. So let's take a little bit of a listen to this, and then we'll go through some of the other information in the criminal complaint.
Today charges the defendant with destruction of property by means of fire, a felony that carries a mandatory minimum 5-year federal prison sentence and is punishable by up to 20 years in federal prison. The defendant was arrested yesterday on a federal criminal complaint near his Florida residence and he's expected to make his initial appearance today in the federal court in Orlando, Florida. I stress that the complaint contains allegations, and every defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The allegations in the affidavit are supported by digital evidence, including the defendant's ChatGPT prompt of a dystopian painting showing in part a burning forest and a crowd fleeing from it. And we're going to put that up on the screen here once we get that going. The allegations are, there it is. That's from his ChatGPT. That's an image he produced a few months before the fire started. It shows the city being burned there. The allegations are further supported by the defendant's cell phone, his false statements to law enforcement, and his behavior during the Lockman fire, which the defendant is charged with maliciously starting shortly after midnight on New Year's Day of this year, and which eventually became the Palisades fire. Late last New Year's Eve, Rinderknecht returned to Pacific Palisades after working the evening shift as an Uber driver. Two of his passengers told law enforcement that he appeared agitated and angry that night. After dropping off a passenger in Pacific Palisades, Rinderknecht parked his car and tried and failed to contact a former friend. He exited the car, walked up a nearby trail, took iPhone videos at a nearby hilltop, and listened to a rap song whose music video included objects being lit on fire. The defendant had listened to this song and watched its music video repeatedly in the days leading up to the Lockman fire. 12 minutes into the new year, environmental sensing platforms indicated that a fire had started. It took the defendant several tries to contact 911 to report the fire. He fled the scene in his car, but turned around after passing fire engines driving in the opposite direction to fight the fire. While the Lockman fire burned, the defendant walked up the same trail from earlier that night to watch the fire and firefighters, using his iPhone to take short videos of the scene. Although firefighters suppressed the blaze, the fire continued to smolder and burn underground within the root structure of the dense vegetation. So that fire started on January 1st, and it smoldered underground for about a week until on January 7th, heavy winds caused this underground fire to surface and spread above ground, causing what became known as the Palisades fire, one of the most destructive wildfires in Los Angeles city history.
That's the thing that is so crazy to me, that it was started obviously above ground, but they're saying it then went underground and then moved above ground days later. That to me sounds absolutely insane. Like, whoa, that's terrifying. So then he goes into more detail about just how destructive this fire was and how much damage it caused.
Law enforcement got to work, and by January 24th, had identified and interviewed the defendant. During his interview, he lied about where he was when he first saw the Lockman fire, claiming he was near the bottom of a hiking trail. Geolocation data for the 911 calls showed that he was standing above the fire in a clearing nearly 30 feet from the blaze as it rapidly grew. As the world watched in horror as the Palisades fire burned, victims perished in the smoke and flames. Homes where cherished family memories and belongings were turned to rubble and ash. The iconic Pacific Coast Highway along Malibu looked like a war zone. Thousands of people were forced to evacuate. Though homes and businesses cannot be rebuilt, this arrest, we hope, will provide a measure of justice to all those who were impacted. We're going to do questions at the end, and we're going to get in more detail, but I want to thank the outstanding partnership we had in getting this case to where it's at. Thanks to the work of the ATF and investigative support from both the LAPD and the Los Angeles Fire Department and the U.S. Forest Service for their hard work in this investigation. I'm going to turn it over now to Kenny Cooper, who's a special agent in charge of the ATF Los Angeles Field Office.
Okay, we can get back to him later, but here's the photo that he was talking about that they said he created with ChatGPT, and it shows, as you can see, a city burning. There's some trucks there, and then people over here. It's really creepy. But this isn't it. I mean, this isn't all they're claiming they have. They're claiming they have other stuff. They've interviewed this guy. They interviewed this guy in January. So, you know, he, as I mentioned, he had called 911. He tried to connect a couple of times, calling 911, but didn't connect. So let's pull up the criminal complaint here and take a look through it at what it says. Of course, you have the ATF agent laying out all his credentials, blah, blah, blah. They have to do that. But we're more interested in what they have on this guy. So they say on the evening of December 31st, 2024, Jonathan Rinderknecht was working as an Uber driver, and two passengers he drove with on separate trips between 10:15 p.m. and 11:15 p.m. said that he appeared agitated and angry. So then at 11:28 that night, he used his iPhone to access YouTube to listen to the song entitled Unzitter Unthee. I took 1 year of French in high school. I wasn't great at it. I really, really wanted to be good at French, but it's a long story. Maybe I'll get into that story another time. It was we had a teacher from France, and he was not really that nice. He was kind of mean, and so he was an exchange teacher, and so he kind of made me not enjoy taking French. But I aced Spanish, so I think there is hope that I actually might have been good at French if I had had a different teacher. But that's just an aside. He Googles this song on YouTube, and if I mispronounce this, I apologize again. But Unzide Unze, by the French artist Jasmine. I have reviewed an English translation of the French lyrics for the song, and the theme of the song is despair and bitterness. During his interview on January 24th, 2025, remember they interviewed him, Rinderknecht admitted he was fluent in French. He grew up in France. Google records indicate that Rinderknecht had listened to the same song 9 times in the previous 4 days, and the music video for the song shows the main character, Jasmine, lighting things on fire. That's just like a small kind of circumstantial piece of evidence. I mean, you're not going to convict anybody on that, but that, is a little bit of color for their affidavit. It's weird. Google records indicate that Rinderknecht had watched the music video 3 times in the previous 4 days. At approximately 11:34 p.m., Rinderknecht dropped off a passenger on Palisades Drive in the Pacific Palisades. As Rinderknecht later admitted in a recorded interview on January 24th, 2025, and as video footage from the neighborhood confirmed, he then continued driving alone eastbound up Palisades Drive toward some area. It's kind of blocking it's part of this is getting blocked on my screen. Sorry about that, guys. Oop. Let's go back. So he goes up to this area, and they're showing he went up to an area that's marked by like a Buddha or something like that. I think I skipped a page. Here we go. Rinderknecht was very familiar with the area. He previously had lived in a house roughly 1 block away from the trailhead. Rinderknecht told investigators that he had hiked along the Temescal Ridge Trail many times. At approximately 11:38 p.m., Rinderknecht parked his car at the Skull Rock Trailhead, as video footage confirms. After parking, he attempted to contact a former friend who had lived in the same nearby house where Rinderknecht had lived via Facebook Messenger, but he didn't connect. But they're still getting the phone activity. As Rinderknecht admitted in his recorded interview, he then walked up the trail, which comprised a series of concrete switchbacks and drainage ditches to where the trail connected to the Temescal Ridge Trail. A sign at the beginning of the trail states danger and no fires/smoking. He then walked up a narrow dirt path to a small clearing at the top of the hill. The former friend of Rinderknecht, who lived in the nearby house, told investigators that he and Rinderknecht had spent a lot of time together at that small clearing. The clearing is sometimes referred to as the Hidden Buddha because it had a short, hollowed-out remnant/stump from a wooden utility pole where people sometimes placed small Buddha figurines. The first image below shows the trail that Rinderknecht used to walk up the Hidden Buddha clearing. The second image is a photograph taken from the Hidden Buddha clearing looking south after the Lockman fire, but before the Palisades fire. The Hidden Buddha feature is visible. On the left, vegetation burned by the Lockman fire is visible beyond it. So you see this red kind of dashed line here. That's the trail. And then you have to kind of look, but right here, is if you look at the end of that red line, you can see that's where the Hidden Buddha area is. So then you look down at this other photo and you can kind of see that Hidden Buddha, that that pole there over to your left. And then you've got some brush, other things. I mean, it's beautiful. At approximately 11:47 p.m., Rinderknecht used his iPhone to take 2 videos in or near the hidden Buddha clearing. So he's up at the hidden Buddha area. In the videos, Rinderknecht panned around almost 360 degrees, capturing the view from the top of the hill. No fireworks or fires were burning. At 11:54, Rinderknecht used his iPhone to again listen to the song entitled Unzerder Ande by the French artist Jasmine. So we'll just call that the fire song. A number of environmental sensing platforms, which included cameras operated by the University of California at San Diego, or UCSD, captured data and video 24 hours a day. They record the hillsides in the region to detect wildfires. The investigative team analyzed all of the relevant footage from those cameras, and the first indication of the Lockman fire was captured at 12:01 on January 1st from a camera about 4.7 miles away. Footage taken from that same camera 35 seconds earlier did not show a fire. A closer camera, approximately 0.2 of a mile away from the hidden Buddha clearing, first captured the glow of the fire at 12:21 a.m. So this is where it gets really interesting, because he tries to call 911. So I'm thinking to myself, well, why are you calling 911? Are you calling 911 because you want to see the response? Or you're like, oh my gosh, I got to call 911 and get people over here. Hey guys, I think I totally left the studio for a second by accident. I apologize for that. So my question was, and I'm sorry if you couldn't hear me for a minute there, I apologize, but he called 911. And the reason I'm wondering if he called 911 is he giving himself an alibi? Is he trying to report a fire? Or does he want to see the firefighters come and, do what they do? That's what a lot of these people who set fires, they do. So let me bring up that. I totally got myself out of this. Had a little tech issue there. Sorry about that. Totally got myself out of the studio and messed that up. So I apologize for that. So was he looking to be a hero, or did he just want to see, allegedly, what was going on? Sarah says recognition or hurt first responders. Oh God, I hope it would not be to hurt the first responders, but you never know. I mean, some of these people are really messed up. If you were going to do something like that. Okay, sorry. Here we go. So let's pull that back up. So let's get back to where we were. So this says that he attempts to call 911, but the call did not go through, most likely because he was out of cell phone range. The GPS data obtained from his iPhone carrier for the attempted call placed his iPhone slightly below the hidden Buddha clearing. Approximately 19 seconds later, at approximately 12:50, he attempted to call 911 again unsuccessfully. The GPS data for that attempted call was more precise and placed him in the hidden Buddha clearing. And it says that the USSD, the UC San Diego video footage indicated that the fire grew quickly. Footage from a camera approximately 6.5 miles away first captured the fire at 12:13:11. Approximately 3 seconds later, there was some more activity. So He attempted unsuccessfully to call 911 again from the hidden Buddha clearing. There were 2 other cameras that also captured footage of the growing fire, and they included a screen grab. And if you look right there, you see like a big ball that almost looks like a sun over to your left in that photo. That's the fire. That's what they're saying the fire is. So the other cameras also captured footage of the growing fire at 12:13:20 and 12:13:37. At 12:13:40, he again attempted unsuccessfully to call 911 again from the hidden Buddha clearing. And so this is what I just mentioned, the image of the fire off in the distance from that camera from the University of California, San Diego. He left this hidden Buddha clearing, Rinderknecht did, and headed down the hill toward his car using the same trail that he'd used to walk up the hill. GPS data obtained from his iPhone carrier shows that he attempted to call 911 several more times while descending that hill. So it's 12:17. According to the timeline they're laying out. And they say Rinderknecht called 911 again. And this is the first time that his call actually connects to a dispatcher. GPS data for this call shows he was almost at the bottom of the trail. On the call, Rinderknecht reported the fire. By that point, a local resident already had reported the fire to 911. During the call, Rinderknecht typed a question into the ChatGPT app on his iPhone asking, "Are you at fault if a fire is lit?" And that was a typo, "because of your cigarettes?" And ChatGPT's response was, "Yes," followed by an explanation. The feds say Rinderknecht then got into his car and drove away from the fire at around 12:20 a.m. And his movements were captured by camera footage from nearby residences. On his way down Palisades Drive westbound, he passed fire engines driving up Palisades Drive eastbound, responding to the fire. Rinderknecht turned around and followed the fire engines to the scene. Rinderknecht was driving at what appeared to be a high rate of speed. When Rinderknecht arrived back at the base of the hill, firefighters were beginning to respond to the Lockman fire. Rinderknecht later told investigators that he offered to help the firefighters fight the fire. "Based on my training and experience, that would be highly unusual conduct." That's according to this ATF agent. I mean, what the heck are you going to do? Like, firefighters are running up there with gear and water, the whole 9 yards, and you are just like some guy in an Uber and you think you're going to fight a fire. I mean, that's really nice that you're helping, but offering to help. But you know what? The best thing you can do in that situation to help is to get out of the way and leave and let the professionals take care of this. Rinderknecht then walked back up the small trail that he had used to climb up and down the hill earlier that night in order to watch the fire and firefighters. At approximately 1:02 a.m., Rinderknecht used his iPhone to take 4 short videos of the area and the trail. That night, the LA Fire Department, assisted by the Los Angeles County Fire Department, used water drops from aircraft and hose lines, as well as hand lines dug by Los Angeles County Fire Department crews to attack the fire. Suppression efforts continued during the day on January 1st as firefighters continued to wet down areas within the fire perimeter. When the suppression efforts were over, the fire crews intentionally left fire hoses on site in case they needed to be redeployed. Pretty smart. On January 2nd, LA Fire Department personnel returned to the scene to collect the fire hoses, and it appeared to them that the fire was fully extinguished. So then they go on to talk about the origin and cause of the Lockman fire. Lockman, I'm probably mispronouncing that. After the Palisades fire, federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies conducted a comprehensive investigation into the Lockman and the Palisades fire under the leadership of the ATF's National Response Team. Investigators determined that the ignition area for the Lockman fire was an area located approximately 30 feet south of the hidden Buddha feature. The overall area for the ignition area was approximately 20 feet by 20 feet. The area does not include hiking trails, but was accessible via a small depression/gully running downhill from the hidden Buddha clearing. Investigators obtained what is known as timing advance data. Timing advance data, where have we heard about that before? Oh my goodness. Timing advance data from T-Mobile and AT&T to determine what cell phones were in that area during the relevant time frame. Using this data, investigators were able to determine that no cell phones using those providers were in the vicinity of the hidden Buddha clearing during the relevant time period other than Rinderknecht's phone. That finding corroborated Rinderknecht's statement to investigators at his January 24th interview that he did not see anyone else when he was at the top of the hill that night, and video footage that showed only one person, presumably Rinderknecht, using the trail prior to the fire. There's a footnote at the bottom that says they couldn't get data for Verizon because their data from December 31st and January 1st was no longer available when the investigation began. The investigative team excluded other potential causes of the Lachman fire. Fireworks were excluded. In pertinent part, nobody, including Rinderknecht, saw fireworks in the vicinity of the Pacific Palisades prior to the start of the Lachman fire. None of the voluminous UCSD video footage captured evidence of fireworks in the area prior to the start of the Lachman fire. And number 3, no evidence of fireworks was found in the origin area. So they were able to determine the origin, like the point from which this fire started. And they said it was that 20 by 20 area near the hidden Buddha area. And they excluded lightning. There were no lightning strikes detected on that night. So let's skip ahead. They ruled out a bunch of other causes. Smoking was examined as a possible ignition source due to Rinderknecht's statements that he sometimes smoked cigarettes. And because he was present in the hidden Buddha clearing, smoking was excluded as a cause. Discarded cigarettes can cause wildfires. The weather conditions on December 31st to January 1st were inconsistent with this theory, among other reasons. That's what they're saying, why they excluded that. So they're saying they looked at everything and they determined that this Rinderknecht was the cause. During his interview on January 24th, Rinderknecht told investigators correctly that the Lachman fire began on the hillside below and south of the hidden Buddha clearing. The investigators are not aware of any other way for Rinderknecht to have known this non-public information other than having witnessed the start of the fire. During his January 24th interview, Rinderknecht's statements about his location upon discovering the Lachman fire were inconsistent with the geolocation data obtained from his iPhone carrier for his 911 calls. He repeatedly told investigators that he first saw the fire and first called 911 after he left the hidden Buddha clearing and walked down much of the trail toward his car. As noted above, the GPS data obtained from his iPhone carrier showed that he was standing in the hidden Buddha clearing when he first called 911. The data also showed that after Rinderknecht's first attempt to call 911 at approximately 12:31 a.m., he remained in the hidden Buddha clearing until at least 12:13:40 when he made his fourth attempt to call 911. This indicates that Rinderknecht watched the fire grow for over a minute while he remained in the hidden Buddha area. They have additional evidence that he maliciously started the fire. During his interview on January 24th, investigators noticed that Rinderknecht's carotid artery would pulsate and become visible whenever they asked Rinderknecht a question about how the fire started or who started it. That's pretty wild that they're like, just looking at him, and they can actually see that your carotid artery is like right here, and that they're seeing like boom, 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 boom. This indicates that Rinderknecht was extremely anxious as to the issue. God, I wonder if my carotid artery ever pulsates. As noted above, Rinderknecht watched the fire grow for over a minute while he remained in the hidden Buddha clearing. Based on my training and experience, Rinderknecht's decision to watch the fire grow for over a minute from the hidden Buddha clearing, coupled with his subsequent statements to investigators that he was not in the hidden Buddha clearing when he first saw the fire, is consistent with arson. So there's a lot here. They go back to that search that he made about, are you responsible if you are smoking? They have video footage from Rinderknecht's iPhone time-stamped on the afternoon of December 31st, New Year's Eve of 2024, that showed what appears to be a green barbecue-style lighter inside Rinderknecht's apartment. Investigators found what appears to be the same lighter in the glove compartment of Rinderknecht's car when they searched it on January 24th, 2025. Subsequent laboratory testing confirmed that a sample of DNA found on the lighter from Rinderknecht's glove compartment matched a sample of Rinderknecht's DNA. Not a shock. Video footage from Rinderknecht's iPhone at approximately 1:44 a.m. showed that Rinderknecht's glove compartment was open while he was driving. During his January 24th interview, I don't know if I've ever had my glove box open while I've been driving, but during his January 24th interview, Rinderknecht admitted that he brought, I wish this wasn't blocked by my little software stuff, that he brought something. Let me try to make this bigger and hope that it doesn't kick me off the screen again. He brought a lighter with him when he walked up. He admitted to them that he brought a lighter with him when he walked up to the hidden Buddha clearing, but he claimed that he could not remember what kind of lighter that he brought. As noted above, the two Uber passengers said he was angry that night and agitated. On November 1st, 2024, he asked the following prompt to ChatGPT. I guess people are using ChatGPT a lot. Maybe I need to start using it. I don't ever really use it. So I am 28 years old, and this just happened. Maybe like 3 months ago or something, like the realization of all of this. I literally burnt the Bible that I had. It felt amazing. I felt so liberated. Yikes. On August 30th, 2024, Rinderknecht wrote to a family member, burned the Bible I had, literally. Holy smokes. That was a pun that was totally unintended. I mean, like, totally not intentional. On July 11th, 2024, Rinderknecht provided the following prompt to ChatGPT. A dystopian painting divided into distinct parts that blend together seamlessly. On the far left, there is a burning forest. Next to it, a crowd of people is running away from the fire, leading to the middle. In the middle, hundreds of thousands of people in poverty are trying to get past a gigantic gate with a big dollar sign on it. On the other side of the gate and the entire wall is a conglomerate of the richest people. They are chilling, watching the world burn down and watching the people struggle. They are laughing, enjoying themselves, and dancing. The scene is detailed and impactful, highlighting the stark contrast and the direct connection between the different parts of the world. In response, ChatGPT produced the following image, and there's the image they referenced during the press conference. So there you have it. They talk about the destruction caused by the fire. They talk about the Palisades fire. The Palisades fire, they say, basically was reported by a witness who lived in the area, called 911, and took a photograph of the fire from his backyard at 10:27 a.m. on January 7th. So 6 days passed as this fire, they're saying, burned underground and then resurfaced through vegetation, came to the ground or came above ground. That is crazy. So they say after extensive analysis, the investigative team determined the specific origin area of the Palisades fire was a burned out root structure at the base of dense vegetation approximately 20 feet south of the perimeter of the Lachman fire. The perimeter was the hand line dug by Los Angeles County Fire Department crews on January 1 along the south containment line of the Lachman fire. So there's an image below taken by a drone after the Lachman fire, but before the Palisades fire looking north. So that's it up top. So this is where they're claiming, this is, I guess, that hidden Buddha clearing, where they're saying the fire started by Rinderknecht, according to the U.S. attorney. Lachman fire perimeter, they're pointing to that. And then this is where the Palisades fire, they're saying, I guess, came up from the root structure and started down at that yellow point. This is crazy. They determined that the Palisades fire was a holdover fire defined as a fire that remains dormant for a considerable time. That's like, I'm like, what the heck? Are there just like fires burning underground? I mean, you know, not to be crazy, but like hell? I mean, like, that's what I think of. I'm like, obviously this was below the surface, burning for days, and then it creeps up and like creepy as heck. But that's what it sounds like. I mean, it sounds like hell or something. So they ruled out tons of causes, everything, and they determined, guys, that this Rinderknecht guy, that he did it. But I really, really want to know. I want to know how much this guy, I mean, watched the coverage. I'm assuming they got a Celebrate extraction from his phone if they knew all of this stuff. Sierra says in Buddhism, fire symbolizes destruction, suffering, chaos, but also transformative possibilities. I can see that. But this is crazy to me. So this guy, Jonathan Rinderknecht, I'm assuming he has a lawyer. He's in big trouble. It just seems very, very concerning to me that he was able to, according to the U.S. attorney, these are all allegations. He's innocent until proven guilty. That he did this, and you know he's acting fishy, I guess. And this is him in custody in Orlando. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are about this, because he could face the possibility that the prosecutors, the U.S. attorney, could pursue the death penalty against him. 12 people died. And so that it says it in the complaint that this is a death penalty eligible crime. He looks like a sad guy. I'm not going to lie to you. He looks kind of like a sad, pathetic guy, especially based on what he was searching. So let's listen to the ATF, the guy from the ATF. We'll listen to a little more in the press conference.
Good morning. My name is Kenny Cooper. I'm the special agent in charge of ATF's Los Angeles Field Division. Today marks a significant moment in a long road to justice for our community. After more than 8 months of tireless, meticulous work, I stand here with our partners, proud to announce an arrest in connection to the devastating Palisades fires that claimed lives, destroyed homes, and shook this community to its core. Jonathan Rinderknecht, age 29, residing in Melbourne, Florida, was taken into federal custody by ATF special agents, a Los Angeles City Fire Department investigator, and a Los Angeles police detective. This partnership and arrest is significant in the three agencies working hand in glove to get this investigation to where it is. Rinderknecht, as the U.S. Attorney mentioned, is charged under Title 18-844-F, malicious destruction by means of a fire of real property owned by an organization receiving federal financial assistance. I know this community has endured a long wait for answers. Families have carried an unmanageable grief, and an entire community has been left to heal while living with questions. Although we cannot share every detail of this investigation, it is still an active investigation, and judicial proceedings remain ahead. I can tell you this: from day one, ATF and our partners have been relentless. We made a promise to find answers, and we have kept that promise. To give you a sense of the work, I want to highlight the extraordinary level of cooperation between ATF and our partners: the Los Angeles City Fire Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, the Orange County Fire Authority, and the United States Forest Service. LA City Fire asked for our assistance, and within 24 hours, ATF's National Response Team arrived on scene. The NRT, ATF's NRT, is an elite team comprised of certified fire investigators, electrical and fire protection engineers, chemists, accelerant detection canine teams, and other experts.
Okay, so they had a bunch of people, a bunch of experts come in. Somebody asked what the wind speed was. I Googled what the wind speed was January 7th of 2025. That is when the Palisades fire was first noticed and called in, they said. It says the wind speed was 84 miles per hour on Magic Mountain Truck Trail in Santa Clarita, and then 62 miles per hour in Escondido Canyon, 55 miles per hour at the Van Nuys Airport. So depending on the exact area, anywhere from 55 to 84 miles per hour. So this guy has just been charged by criminal complaint. He's been charged by criminal complaint, but he'll later be indicted. So it makes you wonder if they will file even more charges. I'm wondering why they picked him up on a complaint and didn't just do an indictment, but obviously they picked him up on a complaint. They provided all these details in the complaint. You know, all they have to do is show probable cause for an arrest. And so this guy could be in even more trouble once the grand jury gets a hold of it. If you're just joining us, thank you so much for joining. Please hit the thumbs up button if you wouldn't mind to help the video. And, you know, we are going to do some other cases, not tonight, but hopefully I'm going to post something later in the week. There was some movement, some stuff filed by the defense team in Corey Richens' case. I've kind of been skimming through that since I got those documents, and I don't know if it's as big of a deal as the defense thinks it is, but we'll see. So I might do a little something on that for you guys. But yeah, this fire was huge, and the fact that 12 people died and so many thousands of homes were damaged and thousands of buildings, just absolutely horrible. And you've got one guy accused of being responsible for it. It's crazy. Totally crazy. Jonathan Rinderknecht, 29 years old, charged with maliciously setting a fire. Perry says, I grew up in Pacific Palisades. My mom's house was burnt to the ground on January 7th. I am so sorry, Perry. That is horrible. That is absolutely horrible. So I just thought I would hop on here and tell you guys about this. When I saw this break today, I was like, wow, they found somebody, and it's one guy, which I don't think is entirely shocking, but what's so shocking to me and what's so scary about this is the fact that they're saying he started a fire. The firefighters extinguish that. They think it's put out. They come back and get their fire hoses. The thing burns underground, and we've heard so much about them not liking the fact that they keep that vegetation there. Remember when all this was going on and there was all this talk about, well, they leave all this vegetation there and it burns, you know, it can burn more quickly, and they need to be clearing that out so the fires don't burn because you're basically providing kindling. I'm not getting into that whole debate. I don't know. It doesn't sound like a good idea to leave stuff just sitting around brush like that. I'm sure it's pretty and that's what nature intended. But when you've got man-made things going on, having all of that brush laying around and it is kind of kindling for a fire. So it seems kind of crazy, but totally nuts. I think, you know, that a fire can burn underground for that many days and then come up through the roots of the vegetation as they said it did, and then what happened. Insane. Illuminating Inc. Does anyone know if the feds have the death penalty? They do, and this is a death eligible crime. We'll see if they pursue it. Well, guys, I really appreciate you joining me tonight. I wanted to hop on here and do something quick, and I will try to put something together for later in the week. And I thank you so much. Please, again, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. So tell your friends, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and hit the bell. And we will do this again some other day. And thanks to the mods for being here, Webby, Melmac, Monty, and Monana. I so appreciate it. I could not do this without them. And we will talk another time. Also, please let me know where you're watching from. As I said, if you've been watching on replay, thank you so much. And let me know which cases you want to hear about. I've gotten a couple of messages from people telling me, hey, I want an update on this case. I want an update on that case. Let me know, and I will work on it, and I will get you some updates, and we will talk soon. Thanks so much, guys. See ya. Bye-bye.